Over the course of making the Cellar Door, we've had the pleasure of travelling Australia, visiting all our country's beautiful wine regions. Many of those regions and the communities that surround them have been greatly affected by the bushfires, and Channel 31 would like to extend our support to those communities affected. If you have the capacity to donate, visit redcross.org.au or wildlifevictoria.org.au to support their ongoing relief efforts.
Hi, I'm Sally and welcome to the Cellar Door. I've arrived in McLaren Vale in South Australia, a region known for its Shiraz and Grenache, but also now more alternate wine varietals. First up, I'm at Oliver's Taranga, a family business dating back some 180 years. And today it's led by one of the most successful women in wine. Corrina, your family has been described as 6 generations of stubborn, competitive growers with an equally spirited winemaker. So you're the winemaker.
I'm the winemaker, yeah.
You're one of the family. You're one of the family, and of course you're the top dog. You're the director. So please, can you elaborate on that? What does that all mean?
So I suppose I'm just really lucky to have come from a long family history, still on the same property. So we've been growers for 180 years now, which is pretty crazy. We started making our own wine really only in 1994, and that was because I was studying winemaking and we just wanted to finally see our own name on labels. We've been selling our grapes to loads of other wineries around the region, but
and you supplied Penfolds Grange.
we still do.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, that is cool. Yeah.
So 180 years, that is very, very, very cool. Take me back to how it all began for your family.
Yeah, for sure. So they came out from Scotland, the wine capital of Scotland.
Yeah, you're not making whiskey.
in 1839. So they came out, William and Elizabeth. William, I guess they were doing subsistence farming back then. So they bought this property sight unseen. They came out, they needed to find water, they needed to build buildings, they needed to clear land, subsistent farming. So they went into everything from wine, grape growing, sheep, cattle, cropping, all sorts of things, fruit trees. And I guess back then wine was somewhat medicinal. Yeah. So, there's the Dr. Penfolds and the Dr. Lindemans and, so everyone sort of made their own wine, I think, a bit as a medicinal thing.
Okay.
And so that's the only reason that we really can think of as to why a Scottish man would, start making wine. So, so we've had grapes on the property ever since.
What about for you growing up on a vineyard? What was that like? Because, you had all your cousins and everyone together. It must have been fun.
Yeah, no, it's pretty good. I suppose, and now I'm raising my children on the same vineyard, which is pretty cool. And we've got some sheep and we've got, there's a horse and he's got his little motorbike that he can ride around. And so, we were very lucky to be able to have this sort of space to grow up on, and also to be able to understand how things grow and seasons.
Yes.
Seasons are
it's
very
a great
important.
Education you never get in school.
And to now be able to turn that into be working with Briony, my cousin, full time, which is really great. So,
Briony, you're also a member of the Oliver's family and you're cousins with the boss.
Yeah.
But what is your role here? What are your responsibilities?
I'm the operations manager, so I do more of the back end type things. She's more of the face of the business.
Yep.
And between her and I and my dad and uncle kind of run the business. So.
But you obviously have a passion for wine.
Yeah, definitely. And it's it's something that we've grown up with our whole lives, and we both actually spent a fair bit of time overseas, and then came back and went, nah, this is for us. Yeah, what are we doing? Thinking of going somewhere else or doing something else. Yeah, it's cool.
What was it like growing up, having your childhood on a vineyard? Was it really fun?
Yeah, well, I think and boring. You always had to work.
Oh, really? As a child?
Yeah, slave labour. Do it for love is what Dad
Family
used to
business,
say.
yeah.
So, it was good as well. And you probably didn't realise how cool it was until you had friends from school come over and you'd ride motorbikes or ride horses or just do whatever, build cubbies and pull down trees, make anything. And so I think then you kind of realised that it was really cool.
Yeah.
But before that, you're just born with it, I guess.
That's all you know.
It's life.
I always feel like, though, there's so many cool hiding spots.
Yeah.
In a winery.
Yeah.
That must have been an epic hide and seek.
Yeah. Well, I think you got to have your freedom, and you just wander around wherever you wanted and go check stuff out, and it was cool. Well, the Cellar Door actually used to be a ruins, and we used to camp over here and tell ghost stories and then run home and whatnot. But
so tell me your account of the history of your family business. With your great grandfather?
Yeah, something like that. 6 generations we've been here. But it was back in the day, it was sheep, cattle, cropping, mixed farming. Dad tells us stories of when he used to ride to school on the Clydesdales and things like that.
And he actually did.
Yeah.
A lot of parents will tell that story.
Yeah. So it's crazy. Back when I was younger, we used to have some of the vineyard that we've got now was all fruit trees, and we used to sell by the bucket load of fruit. Pick your own fruits, pick your own apricots and peaches and things like that. But now we're pretty much all vineyard with a little paddock for sheep and horses and things like that. So
what excites you about the family business?
I really love just working with family as well. I think there are positives and negatives, but I love it. It's every day, and we're creating something that's here for generations to come. We go down the street and we know other families that are doing the same thing, and it's just a really nice kind of feel that a real community feel, I guess. I think I really love that, and it's something we love and have been doing. Or trying to do as best we can.
Is that what McLaren Vale is like? It seems like a small community.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, everyone knows everyone.
Yeah, it's a beautiful part of the world.
Yeah, we're pretty lucky, that's for sure.
Now tell me about McLaren Vale. What makes it so special to you?
McLaren Vale is special just our proximity to the sea. I think that's probably one of the key things for me, and that our ocean is relatively undeveloped, I suppose. So to be able to drive 5 minutes down the road and be at the beach after a long day in the vineyard is always really good. My husband surfs, my son surfs. It's just, I don't know, lifestyle wise, I think it has a mellowness about it and a cruisiness about it that sort of infects this whole region. The other thing I love about it is, that we've got so many growers here. So people who are not necessarily just growing grapes, but farmers. We've got a great farmers market. We've got really great restaurants, really good.
Wow.
Really, really good restaurants.
You got to have those.
And that are using produce from growers, locally. And I just like that patchwork of vineyards that sort of lead out into the sea. I can remember when I was living away and working in other regions, when I drive back up through Chapel Hill, you kind of get around a corner and then you can sort of see out to the Gulf St Vincent, and my whole, everything would just drain away and I'd be home. So
it's a beautiful part of the world.
Yeah.
And the proximity to Adelaide,
exactly.
City, is pretty close.
Yeah, so you can still go and buzz around and get to the airport pretty quickly and all that sort of stuff.
That's great. And what about your wines? What makes them stand out?
I suppose with my wines, what I'm trying to do is really represent the vineyard. So we're estate grown only. So I try to do as little as possible winemaking magic wise. I really want the fruit to sort of just get into the bottle and represent that vintage, that particular block, that particular variety, whatever. But it's really sort of showing our space.
It's obviously working for you, because you really are one of those leading women in wine in Australia. You're somewhat of a trailblazer, really.
I don't know. I try to. I suppose so. I wish I didn't have to be a trailblazer. I suppose everyone wishes that, it was pretty even, but unfortunately in the wine industry we're sort of at women in production roles are less than 10%, so
it's that low.
Yeah, that low.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's when I decided to get involved with some of the Women in Wine Awards and lots of industries, trying to sort of institute a bit of industry change.
And is that how you started creating the Hear Me Roar wine?
Hear Me Roar, yeah. So that's been amazing. So for winemakers from different regions in South Australia, we all got together and we created a wine called Hear Me Roar, a Shiraz, a very small volume. There's only a tiny amount left, and that all the money that is made from that will be going towards scholarships for women in the industry. That's really exciting. Yeah.
Why do you think it's important to have women in industry?
Oh, I think diversity in any business or any industry or anything in general is really important. The other thing is that women are sort of 50-50 going through university, but we're losing them all on the other side. And I don't know, I just think there needs to be different voices and different backgrounds in anything.
Do you think women make different wine?
I think there is a different sort of approach in general. But I don't know, it's too hard to tell. There are too many other variables.
Because men and women have different palates.
Yeah, definitely. So women, the best palate is actually a pregnant woman, which we're probably not allowed to talk about, not politically correct.
Right.
But yeah, when you're pregnant, that's why your stomach turns and, you get a bit spewy and all that sort of stuff. It's because your senses are so heightened. Yeah.
Right.
So there you go. Yeah.
There you go. So women should be making more wine.
And
drinking more.
Yeah, exactly.
There's never been a better time to experience one of South Australia's best bed and breakfast getaways. That's because when you go online and book 2 nights at the Manor Estate, set in the rolling hills of McLaren Vale, you'll receive an extra special night absolutely free. So go online and book 2 nights of roaring fireplaces, secluded terraces and private spas at the luxurious Manor Estate and receive your extra special night absolutely free. Go to manorestate.com.au and book now.
In terms of, visitors coming here to the Cellar Door, what can they experience?
So we do normal tastings, and we also do kind of more structured tastings where people can sit down with 4 or 5 wines, with a museum wine or something that's not normally available for tasting. Sit down with some bread, olive oil and things like that, and that's a bit more of a detailed, structured tasting, we call them. And then we also do our events like our porchetta party, lamb party.
Yeah, which is just recently won the award.
Yep. So one Gourmet Traveller, McLaren Vale events type things. So experiences.
It sounds really fun.
Yeah. So that was
come out here on the patio.
So it's kind of, and a lot of people have said it's like coming over to your family's event. So we always, one of us will host them, and they're kind of really chilled, like lots of shared plates and all the food, all the drink.
Wow, so
the music
your wines,
and
your food,
yeah, and most of it, all the stuff like ingredients and things is like mostly sourced local as possible, and Todd Steele, our chef, he's like awesome, and he explained where all the food comes from, like up the top of the range or so and so down the road, and it's good, it's amazing.
I get the feeling though around here there's a bit of a party vibe. You've got Darrenberg over the corner over my shoulder, really. It seems really fun.
Yeah, it is, and there's always something happening. It's there's always events on that's really kind of but in a kind of casual way as well. Well, talking about the wines, for you, what do you think makes your wines unique? I think definitely the property. It's something that not a lot of people can say that they've been on the property for this long and be able to know the vines inside and out. We know what we're doing, and we're just kind of lucky, and especially with the Shiraz and things like that. It's something that just happens naturally. It is what it is, actually. Like Corrina even says, it's one of the easier wines for us to make because it just
it's
all
easy
goes.
To drink too. It smells so good. And what does the future hold for Oliver's Taranga?
Corrina and I have been doing it together now for a few years, and I think we've really become kind of clear in what we want and are really kind of striving for that really consistently and really clearly, which has been important for us. But I think, lots more fun and working hard. And
yeah, good times ahead.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, cheers to that.
Cheers.
And of course, we're in McLaren Vale, so we know Shiraz, Grenache, you know, they're very popular wines here. But you're bringing in some new varietals.
Yeah. So we've been working with Fiano in particular, but Vermentino, Sagrantino, a couple of other varieties, which has been awesome. Something a little bit new. I love Shiraz and Grenache, don't get me wrong, especially Grenache. But being able to play around with varieties from southern Italy in particular. Yeah. So these varieties have a different sort of acid structure and different ripening, and they're super at home on our vineyard. So yeah.
Right. Well, I would love to taste.
Yeah,
why not? I can see the Fiano just sitting there.
Yeah, just tempting you. Yeah.
And we are seeing Fiano crop up more and more in Australia.
Definitely, yeah. So Fiano is one of those really great varieties that's super heat tolerant. It's drought tolerant, it's disease tolerant, not that we have much disease pressure here in McLaren Vale. It also holds on to its natural acidity. So in winemaking sense, when you're making, say if I was making a Chardonnay in McLaren Vale, as it ripened, the acid would fall away, and wines really do have to have a balance of acid and alcohol and all of the flavours and all that sort of stuff. And so I would have to add acid. Whereas Fiano has its very high natural acidity. I don't need to do anything. I can just sort of tap it around the edges and, sort of coast it on its way.
Oh,
so yeah,
lovely.
Very
it looks tempting.
low input. Yeah. So in Italy, one of the coolest things when I went to visit where this is from, it's actually in a place called Avellino is where it's from, which is basically inland from Positano. So Naples, you got the Positano, everyone's seen those beautiful pictures.
Yes.
So you go inland from there and they've just got these beautiful, beautiful vineyards that have got wild mint and wild oregano growing through the mid-rows, and every step you take, the smells, and they're also growing tomatoes and nut, all nut crops and all that sort of stuff as well, and it's just divine.
Oh, you paint that picture so
it's really divine. So that really nutty sort of character that you get, so sort of pine nut or cashew nut, sometimes I think of crushed cashew nuts, is very typical.
So that will come through
in the taste. Yeah, in the palate as well. Yeah. So sometimes it almost has a bit of a beery note, like a hops sort of character as well. Super savoury. Yeah, fresh.
Yeah, savoury it is, isn't it?
But with a fair bit of texture and weight, so that's what I really like about it as well. Yeah.
Like
so some people are putting it in a bit of oak as well. And,
Right. It's a little slice of the Mediterranean.
Yes, it is. Yeah, exactly.
Lovely.
Sure is. Yeah.
Of course, but you also have your Shiraz.
Yes, so Shiraz. So I thought we'll go, super not traditional and super traditional. McLaren Vale Shiraz is, been in this region for a long time. One of the first varieties that was planted on our vineyard was Shiraz, along with Grenache and some Mataro, which we still have all of those varieties. Unfortunately, not the original vines though. That would have been nice. They got pulled out in the 1940s or something after the war. A lot of them, but yeah. But McLaren Vale Shiraz, that chocolate. The really blackberry, black fruits, very typical. That earthy sort of spice as well.
Smells so good. Wow, so aromatic.
Yeah. So very delicious. Our vineyard, we've got about 60% Shiraz, and loads of different blocks that we can, different ages and that I blend. So this is about 10 different blocks.
Oh, that's delicious. That is very yummy, I'm going to say. I'd love to have that.
So I think McLaren Vale Shiraz, it's pretty typical. It's I suppose that generosity that it gives you through the mid palate and so much flavour.
The chocolate's coming through now. Yes, very much so. Yeah. Do you have a favourite wine?
To me, Grenache is the best to make because it is just a bit trickier than other varieties. It's a bit harder to get right in the vineyard. It doesn't have as much colour or flavour and tannin and all that sort of stuff in the grape, and it's a little bit more fickle. But I really love what that can bring. And then probably my other favourite, other than Fiano, is Reserve Shiraz, which is working from the oldest block we have on the property, which is really amazing to work from something that's planted in 1948. So that's just I know, an honour to be able to work with something like that. So
Well, we
and
know
what it does each year.
Yes. Now, I do have to ask you, since you are, such a trailblazer for women, what advice would you give some women who want to get into the wine industry?
Oh, do it for sure. This is one of the, science. I think it's one of those things. Science in general, women don't, or apparently aren't drawn that way.
Yeah.
And really, wine is science. Yes, there's art involved in it, and yes, there's also logistics.
Yeah, there's a mix of things. So many elements.
But I think it's actually a really exciting career because you can be a full science nerd on one day, and the next day you're hosting a dinner in New York. For wine dinner for someone. So it's and everything in between.
Yeah.
So you've got a lot of outside time. And for me, with my own family business, of course, I'm able to be relatively flexible. That's the difficulty with wine is, when you have to make it, you have to make it. And it's vintage time, which is just finished for us, is full on and all hands on deck and all hours of the day.
Yeah.
Depending on what's happening weather-wise and ripening-wise and all that sort of stuff. But once that's out of the way, then it's, you can be in sales and marketing concepts and social media involved, and there's tastings and wine show judging and, all sorts of things.
Every day's different.
Yeah.
And what's great, sometimes you can work from home.
Yes, exactly.
But all
Even better. Yeah.
Well, cheers.
Thank you. No worries. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you.
How could I leave without picking up a few bottles?
Hello, Roland. Thank you so much for having me at your beautiful distillery.
George, it's my pleasure. And we turned on this beautiful day for you.
It was very kind of you.
It is stunning.
It is gorgeous. So, you are the master mixer and distiller and creator
Yes.
here at Settlers Distillery.
Yes. I'm not the creator, but I do create.
You do create.
I have a passion.
Yes,
for
you
creating,
do.
For creating.
Clearly, we have so many beautiful types of gin here.
Yes.
And other spirits and liqueurs as well. But I'd love to start with a little discussion about this one, mostly so I can have a sip.
You have our brand new coriander leaf gin. And the brief to me was that for family Christmas lunch, we were having seafood. And so I set out to create a gin to go with seafood. And that is the result. And it
Very fresh.
It is fresh, and if you shut your eyes and smell it, it could be just like you were smelling fresh coriander.
The coriander aroma is
and it's so
strong and
fresh, and it's clean, and it's bright. And I feel so sorry for those people that just can't stand coriander. Because
maybe you can cure them.
Yes, they're missing a treat. And we've garnished that with lime, with freshly cracked black pepper, which makes it into something quite savoury.
This is amazing. That is so delicious.
I'm glad you like it.
Let's talk about this delightful flavour in front of us.
That is a Shiraz gin. What I like about it, we have a vineyard and a winery here.
You do?
And when gin was invented, it was created using grape spirit. So we use our own grapes here, and that's the result. So I've taken Shiraz grapes, turned it into Shiraz wine, and then added the Shiraz wine.
Married the two
together. And so it's my two favourite things in the one bottle.
I mean, same, to be honest. As well as gin, you have whiskey.
We do.
Which is aged in port barrels.
We're using port barrels. Traditionally, whiskey is aged in port barrels or sherry barrels. There's some out there now experimenting with barrels that have had wine in them. 3/4 of the flavour that's in whiskey comes from the barrel and what was in it previously. So we've chosen port.
How would you describe the flavour profile of your whiskey?
Well, again, soft and smooth, but with violet crumble and honeycomb.
Oh, yum.
And very easy to just drink over a piece of ice.
Lovely. And we've got a little slice of orange in here too.
Yes. So it reminds me very much of sangria.
I can taste the gin and I can taste the Shiraz.
Yes.
And it is a taste sensation.
Thank you.
You
created some of these flavours yourself.
Yes.
Do you just kind of have a little daydream about what might go together, or?
I do.
You do?
And normally it's a very early morning dream, about 4 o'clock.
Oh, yes.
This inspiration, and the breakfast gin was one. I wonder what would happen if, and then the breakfast gin was the result of that.
And a great success.
And the coriander leaf was a result of that. So stand by for the next iteration.
Roland, thank you so much.
It's my pleasure.
I've had a fabulous time. I'm going to take this and this.
And once the camera stops, you might even be able to have another.
You never know your luck. Thanks so much.
My pleasure, George.
This is Geddes Wines, where the aim of the game is to make a wine to enjoy rather than endure. Tim, Geddes Wine is relatively young, only 10 or 12 years old. How did your family find themselves in wine?
It started when I finished high school, and I lived just down the road from a couple of wineries in Napier, Hawke's Bay, New Zealand.
Ah, New Zealand.
Yep, so just went down there and knocked on the door, the old-fashioned of asking for a job. Started doing vintages and loved it. In 95, had to get out of home.
Yeah.
Mum was driving me nuts, so came to Australia, to Adelaide, to do university course. Did a couple of vintages in Barossa, Hunter Valley, and ended up in McLaren Vale in 2001 with one of the big boys. And then worked with the legend of the area, Wayne Thomas, in 2003 onwards. And he said, I've got to get you started, I'll give you a barrel. That was the vintage bonus, and then took off from there, and 2007 just went for it.
Yeah.
You only live once, so go for it.
What made you though decide, I want my own label?
Madness.
Everything's born out of madness, isn't it? All the best things.
Yeah, I just thought you've got to have a crack at life, and become my own boss was pretty good, neat. You work hard during vintage, but at the end of the year, play hard, work hard.
Yeah. So, working off the land and in a family business, you must have seen lots of ups and downs in the last 10 years?
Massive. 2007, when I first started, the crops were only half a tonne an acre, very dry conditions in 2007. 2008, the GFC hit. Bit of a glut for the next 4 or 5 years.
You started at a tough time.
So if I survived then, I should be able to go forward now.
Yeah. What about at the moment with the drought?
Yeah, the crops are down 30 to 50%. It's farming.
Yeah.
You work with what you get, make the best out of what you got. So, no, everything looks good. McLaren Vale's a fantastic region. We very rarely have poor vintages. In fact, we don't. We just have maybe mediocre to excellent.
That's pretty good.
It's easy.
Yeah. It is such a beautiful spot to me, it looks quintessentially Australian. Do you think that's reflected in the wine?
Totally. We've got the Gulf of St. Vincent, 10 k's away from here. On the westerly winds, you can just smell that sea air.
Yeah.
It's really refreshing. You got the Cellar region, then you move through to the Blewett Springs region here. We've got cooler nights. We're on different soils. Many diverse soils in McLaren Vale. Which makes it a very unique region too. Yeah.
And is that why you chose this spot?
The sand, the beaches, sun, food, wine, what more?
Sounds pretty good. Let's talk about your wines. What do you think makes them stand out from the crowd, and what are their characteristics?
Fruit forwardness, soft, easy drinking, but still has structure. Always believe that your best wine is your last wine. So if you don't make a outstanding wine, you want people coming back to actually go, right, I really enjoyed that. So vice versa, I don't want to take a wine up home and pour a glass and can't drink it. You've got to enjoy what you're doing and get one crack at it, make it worthwhile.
And every year you don't make the same wines, do you? You're quite selective in what you produce.
Correct. Let the vintage do the talking.
Yeah.
Just different seasons allow different varieties to shine. Shiraz does consistently well around here. Grenache does consistently well. We have one wine we'll be tasting later on, Petit Verdot. Well, that's a late ripening, and that can be challenging in cooler years.
Yep.
Yeah, so we're not a factory here. We just let the fruit do the talking.
Yep.
And we guide it along to what it should be.
And what about this vintage? What do you think's going to come out of this year?
Good vineyards will always be good vineyards. So we're lucky enough to have a great source and great people who are running them, of some Shirazes and Grenache, Petit Verdot. So the Shirazes, yeah, we've got some old vines. Well, vines are like people from 0 when they're planted in the ground to 20, they're a bit adolescent. From 20 to 40, they start getting their feet in the ground.
Right.
Start getting grounded a bit more.
Oh, okay.
And 40 onwards, well, yeah, they just start settling down to be a bit more mature. And then we've got some old vine, 73-year-old, 74-year-old vine. It's like your grandma. You don't tell her what to do, she tells you.
I like that analogy, that's good. And I like your grape to glass philosophy. Can you talk more about that?
Being self-employed, we know everyone from the vineyard to the harvest driver to the truck transporter to whoever comes in and helps out, to the bottling people, to the distributors. So I believe in making that friendship with everyone.
Yeah.
They're all involved, they all play a part. So yeah, it's definitely about joining together and
Yeah. Well, we know you're hands-on because you can literally see it in your wine-stained hands. You've been busy at work this morning?
Yeah, I had to do a few things. Got halfway through a fermenter shoveling out, and I believe you're going to finish that off.
Yeah, sure. Just had a manicure.
Perfect.
I can do it, but I better have something to drink beforehand.
Sure.
What have we got here?
2018 Grenache. The 2018 vintage was really, really neat, I believe. Grenache is an interesting variety in the Vale. It's becoming quite popular. So with Grenache, you can actually have different ways of fermenting it. You can put it in an inert atmosphere and it will ferment inside its berry, called carbonic maceration. So we do a little partial of that, bit of whole berry, and just then traditional, just whole bunches as well.
Have you got Grenache in some of these barrels around us?
Big format Grenache
Yeah.
in the big format 3,000 litre oaks.
Right, okay.
And then, we'll show you a ferment later on that has the whole
Oh, great.
bunches in
I'll
it.
have to see that before I get to work.
Yeah, well, that's the one that you'll be digging out.
Oh, great. Okay, so what can I expect to smell here?
Cherries, raspberries, bit of glazed fruit, and that will come from that whole bunch fermentation, carbonic maceration character. And then on the palate, you're going to once again have raspberries and a tannin structure also from the whole bunch as well. So,
And the colour is beautiful. I love the colour of Grenache.
it's very vibrant this year.
This is delicious. It's reminding me kind of a toffee apple flavour.
Okay.
I know I always come up with weird and wacky flavours that the winemaker has no idea about. It's my strange palate. You can taste it there, can't you?
I'm looking. What kind of apple?
It's a lolly that I remember having.
Yeah. The candy coated one.
Toffee apple.
Yeah.
Yum. That's delicious. Thank you very much. I should ask about the Seldom Inn. That's named after your...
Late father. He was self-employed. So when he came home, before the iPhones, the phone would ring off the hook, like go gangbusters. So the last thing at the end of the day is you want to be answering phone calls all the way through meals and night time. So we would either take the phone off the hook or unplug the phone or take messages, but the boys knew he was home because he'd probably just left the pub. But they made up a sign at the end of the gates saying Seldom Inn. And it's a reflection on life of saying switch the phones off after 5 o'clock or 5:30. When you get home, switch it all off and enjoy good wine, good food, good friendship.
Amanda, it's no secret around here that you are a trained, excellent chef, is it? But sometimes you put on special feasts for, you know, people who come by.
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Yep. Entertaining is part of Geddes Wines, and food is definitely part of what we do.
Now, I'm putting a Shiraz out here, but it looks like you're making a salad. I never thought you'd match a Shiraz with a barley salad.
Well, it's well known that you can have whatever you like with your wine.
I like
Food
that.
and wine go together, and you have to decide what. We often build a salad and then put something in the smoker to go with it. So that's what makes it really good.
Oh, the smells coming from here are amazing. Now, this isn't the only reason that you cook up feasts, is it? You also do it kind of as a training technique for Tim.
He loves to eat, and he needs to know all the different flavour combinations and aromas and smells that make his job easier. So if he's got that flavour profile, imagine what he can do with wine.
I love
So as long
that.
as it's long and...
So it really helps in the winemaking process.
If you eat from every different culture, it makes it so much easier.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what is your all-time favourite food and wine match?
Duck à l'orange with Grenache.
Oh, that sounds so good.
It's Tim's favourite by far.
And duck and Pinot, I think, you know, everyone thinks of that, but Grenache, something a little bit different.
So good.
Oh, I love that. Very good. Okay, Tim. Oh, here we go. All the grapes. One last one. The bottom here. Done. Piece of cake.
Well done, Sal. You haven't even broken out in the sweat.
No, easy peasy.
Oh, well done.
What grapes have we got here?
This is the Grenache, the whole bunch Grenache I was talking about. So try one of these berries, and it's like sherbet.
Just take one.
They just pop in the mouth.
Wow, I did not expect that flavour. It is sherbet, it just explodes.
That's it. It's like that cherry glazed fruit I was talking about too.
It's like a lolly. So what happens now that they're in here?
We'll throw it in the press and give it a cycle for about an hour, and just once again the soft, gentle basket pressing will just extract some nice, soft, juicy goodness.
So how long does it take from now to when it's drinkable?
Grenache around about 12 months.
Right. So in 1 year's time, I'll be back to drink the fruits of my labour.
That's it. Deal. Well done.
Whoa, look at that. So what is that? Grenache coming out of here?
This is the Petit Verdot.
Oh, this is the Petit Verdot. Ah.
Yep. And if you get the aromas, you can smell all that.
So what is this doing? It's just...
So that's what I was saying, like you pumping the juice over the skins and you're extracting the colour, flavour, tannin.
Look at that, that's pretty.
That's it. You try that.
I like it like that.
So Sally, after 12 months to 18 months, we have the final product.
Okay.
Today we have the chance of trying a Petit Verdot, which I've made for 7 years because the stars and the moon just haven't aligned.
Yep.
It takes a lot of work in the vineyard to get this right. So that's why, once again, we only make things when it looks good. So Petit Verdot actually comes from Bordeaux region. There's not much growing in McLaren Vale. I actually call it a cross between a Shiraz and a Cabernet, generosity of a Shiraz and structure of the Cabernet.
Yep.
A lot of violets, very aromatic and very generous.
Lovely. And I love how you say you don't endure a wine, you enjoy it.
Correct.
This is a good example of that.
Yep.
Yeah.
It comes from the philosophy of Amanda cooking vintage lunches every day. So the philosophy is to enjoy vintage, not endure it.
Yeah.
We stop during the day, have a sit-down lunch, we have a few blind wines, we just try and relax, assess where the day's going, and just make it fun.
The life of a winemaker, my goodness.
Oh,
I'm in the wrong biz.
some of them.
Oh, that's lovely. So what would you team this with?
Game foods, venison, beef. Amanda actually calls it is the wine to have after every other wine you've had.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's just one of the ones at the end where you just go, yep.
I'm having this over and over again.
Yeah. It goes all right.
I can see why. Now, I love the cellar door here. I'm getting like a Great Gatsby kind of vibe.
Yeah. From Napier, back in 1931, they had a major earthquake.
In New Zealand?
Yep. And it actually wiped out all of Napier. So then they employed San Francisco architects to redesign it, and back in that time, San Francisco was sort of Art Deco era. Yeah. So being from Napier, I've gone, it's a really neat era. Love to be back in those times with a lot more freedom and a lot more relaxed. But so we've designed just on the Art Deco sort of character, and hence the label as well.
Yeah, yes, of course. And the lights here, everywhere you look, there's just these nice little creative touches. And also so lovely that it's personal to you and your family. Yeah, it's gorgeous.
We just try and keep it comfort and make it kid friendly. Yeah. We're not trying to make sterile. We built a shed, we can't change that. What we do is what we put in it. It makes it a bit more of us. Yeah.
And speaking of kids, do you want your kids to, go into the family business and keep this going for generations?
Well, it's a bit like the Moreton Bay fig tree that I planted out there. Someone said that takes over 100 years to grow, but someone's got to plant it. So, if they're interested, go for it, just as long as they keep me in my comfort of lifestyle. Yeah. And retirement.
Got to look after Dad.
Damn right.
And what does the future hold for Geddes?
Look, we're just trying to grow organically. We just want people to enjoy our wines. We're not out to accomplish the world. Yeah. It's about lifestyle. It's about fun. So, if we just keep rolling along, I'm quite happy to just cruise.
Yeah, well, I think making these wines with the amazing food your wife cooks, you're going to go far. And I'm ready to eat that food too, by the way.
Good. We're just going to be fat and tiddly.
That's the life. Thank you so much for having me here at Geddes Wines. I've had a lot of fun, but now I think it's time to dig in and enjoy the fruits of your labour. What do you reckon? Let's eat. If you want to catch this episode of The Cellar Door or more, just jump online. But for now, I'm going to eat and enjoy this food. I'll see you next time.